Andy, thank you so much for coming in. It's great to have you here. I'm glad you got to stop by while you were in Chicago.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Actually, first question was, what are you in town for? I know you had a specific occasion you're here for.
Yeah, the Fretboard, Jason and the Fretboard Journal Summit. He's organized this kind of gathering of guitar players, musicians, other maker friends and whatnot. So it was a chance to come into town for a couple of days and catch up with some friends and play a couple of tunes here and there. And
cool. Yeah. I heard
time.
it's in my neighborhood. It's like right down the street from me. So you'll probably see me there later this weekend.
Probably. Yeah. I think I could walk here from there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for coming in though, man. For everybody out there who doesn't know, like what's your kind of role at Taylor? What's your experience with them so far? Just for anybody who doesn't know, Andy Powers.
Yeah. Currently I am the chief guitar designer and president CEO.
No big deal. No big deal. Yeah.
No, some people call me Hey You. Most people call me Andy.
So there was a couple things I wanted to ask you about, and that was kind of the latest things you've been up to at Taylor. Like, what's been the most recent kind of thing that's motivated you this past couple of years? Like anything in particular sticking out?
The thing that's motivating me right now is this fantastic coffee you did. That stuff is good. That was a great roast, wherever that came from.
That Chicago cold brew is coming through right now.
All right,
so,
getting the job done, man. There's always things going on at Taylor because every time you make something, that's what leads to more inventions.
Yeah.
It's like the process of making things is what leads to the process of inventing.
For sure.
You take your tools up and you start to work on something, and the process of working that idea out, you kind of like trip over these other ideas. You go, oh, I got to come back and explore that a little later. Let me try that. And so there's always things going on. But this year for us is a particularly exciting one because we're celebrating our 50th year as a guitar making company.
Huge. That's huge.
Yeah. We tend to go through life one day at a time, 1 week at a time. And your life is made of all those decisions that you make. And once in a while you cross by a milestone, you go, hey, wait a minute. That would be one of those things that we should celebrate.
I think so.
We should do that. 50 years. That's a lot.
Yeah,
50
it is.
Years that seems like a lot.
It is. It's also my 50th cup of cold brew today. So.
Yeah. So there's some guitars that we were building kind of in celebration of that. Some ideas that we had. A couple of the guitars that we were playing actually are part of that 50th anniversary collection, if you will.
They are, yeah. So you guys got to hear some of them. I think the 314, we have two different versions of that. There's the 217 and then the GS Mini.
Yeah, exactly. We've got these two 314s are exciting because they're iterations of our Builder's Edition collection, which is like all the modern fancy.
Yeah.
It's like all the cool tricks, all the cool guitar making, all the cool woodworking, that swoopy beveled contour cutaway and
nice.
Armrest and, like the quintessential modern, like very modern acoustic guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're quick to get around on. They're really comfortable. I mean, the ethos behind that guitar was, we'll make it sound good, make it feel good.
I think you guys succeeded. So.
Well, thank you. So it's that very linear kind of voicing, very balanced, real uniform, great string feel, but the body edges are all kind of chamfered off. The cutaways all smoothed out and sculpted. You got this armrest, like a great feeling guitar.
Yeah, man. We talked about that before we recorded. Just the sound of, in particular, this one. Yeah, absolutely. Just like. How'd you put it? Even keeled? It's just it's
like
level.
A very linear kind of response.
Yeah.
It's almost like playing a piano that's been like well regulated.
Yeah, yeah.
Where all the notes have a similar character. They all have a similar projection, real accurate pitches.
Yeah, tracks across the neck really well. Yeah. Right. Not any one voicing getting choked high up on the neck or anything like that.
You can put all these interesting intervals together and nothing's really getting lost.
Yeah.
That's a flavor that I really enjoy, especially if you're doing any sort of complex harmony or if you're playing real fast or whatever. That just feels great.
Yeah, I agree. So things you don't really think about too, like on first play, but it absolutely is there. So I'm sure it'll track too on the recordings that we got as well.
Yeah, it's like they end up being some of the most microphone friendly guitars
for sure
that you could build and play.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
no woof or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no weird spots that you kind of work around.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I like that a lot. In a way, it contrasts a little bit to this 217 guitar. This 217 is an exciting one for me as a builder because it's one of the first instruments we've done using the Grand Pacific body shape on a layered wood guitar. So the back and sides are layered, in this case, East Indian rosewood with a spruce top, a solid spruce top. It has a little different architecture.
Sure.
Sort of like the asymmetrical variation of a V-class top architecture in there.
All right, with the bracing.
Yeah, it's actually something we call C-class. So it's like an asymmetrical version that we first developed for use in our Grand Theater or GT size guitars.
Okay.
But in this Grand Pacific, I love the response out of it.
Yeah.
You've got this, especially in the open position, like low on the neck, open strings. Man, it's like all muscle.
Yeah,
It's got like this elbows out, all muscle, kind of really strong response.
It's got some heft to it. Yeah, for sure.
And it doesn't have like a woofy, like microphone swallowing kind of bass. I don't really love the way that works in most cases.
Yeah. You don't want it to overtake it, you know?
Yeah, it's more like a high wattage amp kind of low end.
Yeah, all right.
And not like a real sag heavy sort of low end.
For sure.
But man, it's got this muscular voice that if you start laying into some open position chords, gosh, it feels great.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I sort of missed that too. Yeah. I like that.
I like you guys are doing different flavors like that then though, because it's one thing to play a guitar like this, for instance, but getting to play one of those also with a different character to it is just, you'll play differently, you'll create differently with it.
It draws a different thing from the musician.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I've played a lot of guitars. I've built a lot of guitars. I've played a lot of different styles of instrument. And one of the things that excites me as a builder is making different flavors.
Yeah.
Like to me,
you can have vanilla only,
Yeah, it's like you can get into the thin sliced subtlety of this version and this version and this version, and that's great. But they all end up being slightly different tweaks of the same basic recipe. And that's interesting, but it's not the only thing that I like to do. I actually like flavors that are different from each other. There's a wide variety of music out there. There's a even wider variety of musicians out there. And we're listening to different things and putting different sounds into a context. And so to me, I think it's interesting to build different kinds of guitars, different styles of instrument, different sounds, different woods, and continue going that direction because there's so many different flavors of good.
I love that because that's the most fun and it's the most unique element of just an acoustic instrument right there. And I'm sure you guys probably go to great lengths to like preserve as much of that as possible in like the building process too, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can grade woods for different densities, different hardnesses, things like that. And so you want it to fall within a range where it's going to be good.
Yeah.
But each one should be special. Every musician is unique.
Yeah.
And a guitar is one of those rare things that gets better the older that it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there aren't many, like for me, I've noticed there aren't many tangible objects that get better the older they are. It's usually the intangible things.
Yeah,
like a memory, a relationship, those get better or can get better the older that they are.
For sure, yeah.
But most things that you hold, they wear out.
They just decline.
Guitars are one of the rare exceptions.
Yeah, they do play in, and like it just feel like it just loosens a little bit, or even tightens in some cases. But a couple of people here were talking about our old experiences with acoustics. I've got one from 2016 as well that also has just felt just more me at the same time as it ages, and I feel like the way I play into it, it settles that way as well, and just really does play.
They will settle into the kinds of patterns that you lead them to.
Yep.
That is a hard thing to measure. That's a hard thing to like quantify.
Yeah.
But it is a thing and you can observe it.
Yep.
Like there are guitars that you hear after 10 years of hard playing and you go, wow, you strike a couple of open position chords and that guitar is willing and able and used to doing that.
It's like, just a cannon at that point.
That thing that specializes in the end of the neck. And then you hear even the same model that was played in a different way by a different player and you go, well, that one developed a little differently.
Yeah, right.
That one,
it's true.
I can see that you believe all keys were created equal.
Yeah.
Like every fret is evenly worn up and down the fretboard, and you go,
it's not just a G instrument.
Yeah. And those guitars end up sounding different from each other.
They definitely do. And I notice the difference too. But it's just so fun. I love the fact that you said it's unquantifiable, because it's just like that with other things, like maybe a speaker that you've had for 10 years and you break the speaker in and you're like, don't you guys hear the difference? And everybody's like, I don't know.
It sounds good.
Yeah, I like it. And you're like, yeah, but no, I've heard it for 10 years. It definitely sounds different. But I love that with the guitar, you feel the difference there. Right. So I love that.
An acoustic guitar, it's actually pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
Like these guitars that we were playing, these just came out of the box.
Straight up out of the box, not
maybe
like
5
an hour.
minutes. 5 minutes of playing time on
it. For real.
If these guitars get played for a couple of hours, or let's say a whole week, you go to do that first string change on it, oh man, that is a significant change. They ripen up real quick.
Sure.
And then they continue to ripen over the next 10 years. I mean, you'll hear it, like the pace that change happens starts to slow down the older and older it gets.
For sure.
The difference between 10 years and 20 years, well, it's still 10 years, but it's not as dramatic as, say, the first week and a month later.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's like when they're that young, like you can do every string change and go, man, that is different. That is getting better and better all the time. They just become more touch sensitive. They're more responsive.
For sure. So I know you're a tinkerer. So what have you been tinkering with lately? You got any?
Oh man, there's all kinds of things. Like one of the things, one of the projects that's been real enjoyable for me personally is we started building some electric guitars.
Cool. Okay.
Under we call them Powers Electric.
All right. Yeah.
Because the design language is a totally different thing.
Sure.
And it started more as a passion project to go, this is a guitar that I wanted to have when I was like 13 years old that never existed. But living in Southern California and growing up where I did, how I did, being surrounded with the influences of the area, like fully immersed in the surf, custom car, skateboard culture, like all of that stuff. I go, man, I kind of want to take all of that and put it into a guitar.
Yeah. Okay.
And build an instrument that was different than everything else that I had.
Cool.
And so that's been real exciting, but it's opposite end of the scale of what Taylor Guitars usually is. As Taylor, we build hundreds of guitars every day, and they're great guitars. I love them. I love doing that. This is a handful of guitars.
Yeah.
So I personally work on every one of them, and it's an exciting thing.
I love that.
So that's been a lot of fun. The kind of collection of 50th anniversary guitars have been exciting to see come to fruition, because it is a moment to like pause and reflect on some of the things that we've developed over the years.
Oh, sure. Was it a couple years, I'd assume, to maybe get these from development to out there?
Yeah, we've been working on this year because it's one of those mileposts that you can see coming far up.
The 50th,
Yeah, that's going to arrive.
We got prep for this.
Yeah. We should do something for that.
Definitely.
And so those have been enjoyable. And at the same time, there's always neat things coming next.
Yeah.
Because the process of making it just, you stumble over these other ideas to go, wow, that could be, I'm going to take this and I'm going to run with it and see what someday comes of it. Because I bet you there's something here. It's
kind of kernel there. It's a little kernel there. Yeah.
It's kind of like the way songwriters work. Mm-hmm. Like when you write songs, sometimes you can sit down and go, okay, I want a song. It's in this key. It has this kind of flavor. And you sit down, you write the whole thing front to back. Mm-hmm. That's cool. But a lot of songs, they, at least in my experience and from the other writers that I've been around, it's almost like they get parts of songs and put them on a shelf. And then once in a while, pull that song idea off the shelf, kind of blow the dust off and go, yeah, that's a good chorus and 2 good verses. I need a middle 8 and maybe another verse.
Yeah,
or an outro or something.
Piece it together.
And you kind of just add a little to it and you go, oh, wait, actually, if I took that hook and I put it with this, ooh, now I got something. Guitar making is a little like that, where you start to collect these different ideas, go, you know, I've noticed this, I've observed this, I tried this, and I've learned this thing. I don't have the right place to put it yet. I'm just going to hang on to that idea. I'll just put it on my mental shelf.
Yeah.
And then when I take it out again, I'll blow the dust off and go, okay, now that I've got this new machine that I could use to build this thing, and I've got this idea that I could combine with it, now the parts work together. Okay, that's something that musicians would like.
For sure.
That could be inspiring to hold, to play, and enjoy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I like the songwriting analogy too. That's legitimate. Yeah, it's rare to just do an entire song in one sitting. So, what's going to be what's been inspiring you kind of tonally or musically? Has there been any kind of avenues you've been going down?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great songs out there. I mean, lately I've been playing a lot of bedtime songs for my kids because they're kind of at that age where we go, well, you sort of have your bedtime set list. Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna play those songs as long as you'll have me.
Yeah.
You want to hear these songs? Great. I am gonna soak it up.
Revel in it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just love it. Right. Our daughter, she came home from the library with this book of old Nat King Cole tunes, and decided one day she wanted to learn to play some ukulele. And I've always loved building and playing uke, so we've got a couple of them around. And so I came home from the shop and she'd worked out, all the chord changes to a couple old Nat King Cole tunes. I'm like, you kidding? Game on. You're going about this the hardest possible way you could do it. But sure, if that's what floats your boat, great.
Yeah, it's no G's and C chords here.
Yeah,
it's all the extensions.
And voice to be played on a ukulele. Okay.
Wait, how old is she right now?
She's 10 right now.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite advanced to be starting right there. I love it.
That's just the way she is. She's going to do things that way. Our oldest son, he's 14 and he's excited with the prospect of learning to drive.
Okay.
Yeah, I can kind of teach him off-road a little bit where he's not going to crash into anything, but we drug home an old, it's like a 29 5-window Model A that he's been rebuilding. He wants to turn it into a pre-World War II era racer.
Okay.
And learn to drive that.
All right. That's very ambitious. Yeah.
All right. Cool. He's very able. He's getting after it and rebuilding all the parts, making a mess. And
okay.
And it's a complicated car to drive because you've got, manual spark advance, a hand throttle, a lot of people don't even know how to start the thing in its original form. So we play with a lot of toys like that.
Cool.
And it's fun to see where these different elements of even just daily life, where they take you, where they take me as a guitar maker to go, the shapes, the sounds, the textures, the feel of all of these experiences, they come back and they influence what you work on. They influence how you see a guitar, how you hear sounds, what might inspire you next. It could be something as simple as, I have this wood to try. Okay, what do I want to do with it? Well, what is it?
Start there.
Yeah, what does it do? It sounds like this, it saws like this, it smells like this, you can glue it like that.
Do you ever build like prototypes to kind of like
All the time.
get an initial sound of that like cut there and everything?
Often.
Okay.
Often I'll do that. Like some of these guitars, these 300 series Builder's Edition guitars, they have a wood we call urban ash on the back and sides.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's wood that was harvested from an urban forest.
Oh, all right, yeah.
Okay, so what the heck is an urban forest? It's street trees.
I was going to say, is that a snappy name or is that actually an urban ash tree?
It literally is, like when you go into a city, I mean, walk around here in Chicago.
Yeah.
You notice how many trees there are?
Yeah, littered about. You don't even notice them half the time.
You don't really even pay attention to them, except that they're put there for a reason.
Yep.
They're put there for shade, for cooling value, as wind barriers, for sound abatement, to control some noise, to control soil erosion, like all over the place. Every city puts trees in the ground on purpose.
Yeah.
And yet, because they're in a city, they can't be allowed to just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. They become kind of dangerous like that. If that falls over in a windstorm, it's gonna kill someone.
Yeah,
You know? It's gonna crush a car, crush a building.
So are you just kind of salvaging those that are cut down then?
Yeah. So in that case, for that particular species, we thought, well, let's start working with one of the arborists who are managing these trees. So out in California, there's a company called West Coast Arborist, and they manage all the city trees in basically every city in California.
Okay.
And they've got this standing inventory that is a literal forest.
Oh, wow.
But you don't really even notice it because they're lining roadways, they're lining highways on the sides of the freeways, and they're planting the trees, they're maintaining them, they're fertilizing them, they're taking care of these. And then when they get to a certain age and they become like a hazard, they remove them. Or if they remove them after a storm or something, something like that. And they had the foresight to go, well, there's got to be value in this beyond just mulch.
Yeah, just gutting them.
There's something special about even these trees. And so we started working in conjunction with West Coast Arborists going, well, wait a minute. Some of these are actually first-rate tone woods.
Yeah, can I have some of those? Yeah,
yeah. They might not be tradition in the guitar world yet, but they've got everything going for them. They've got the right kind of densities, right growth characteristics.
Yeah.
Well, let's make something unique out of these.
Yeah. How does a tradition start but just doing it consistently?
So, like in the case for those woods, it literally was driving around, looking at our neighborhoods, going around our daily life and going, hey, wait a minute. There's a bunch of neat trees here.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe this should turn into something.
Cool. Love it. Love that. That was the like impetus for it.
Right. So there's, and it's worked out great. It's been, aside from loving how the woods work.
Yeah, yeah.
It's another way to just look at a path forward and go, there's opportunities all around us if we're just paying attention to it. Mm-hmm. There's
time.
All kinds of exciting new adventures.
Yeah, in all aspects of life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so for me as a guitar maker, it's incredibly rewarding to take elements of what your daily life looked like, go, actually, I can put this into a guitar. This would be unique. This would be inspiring. This inspires me. I think other musicians could find something lovable about this as well. Definitely.
Well, I love it. Anything else you wanted to say about these new models there? Or?
These guitars in particular they're special to us because they're a celebration instrument for a specific milestone. Yeah, so as an intrinsic object, they're great instruments. They play great. They make great songs. They offer great sounds. They're easy to work on. They've got centuries of music built into them.
Love that. Yeah.
So I love that. And at the same time, man, we're not done. There's all kinds of fun new things that we're still working on. To go, man, this is the guitar today. I absolutely love it, and it's going to be the guitar that inspires us to build the next guitar.
Always, and so forth and so forth. And so forth. Yeah.
It's incredibly rewarding. I absolutely love it.
So are you going to still stick to the traditional acoustic approach? Are you going to be putting lasers on it later or something?
A lot of times people will, it seems logical in the era that we live in. It seems logical for people to assume that more technology will be added to an instrument. Mm-hmm. You look at your like an iPhone. I use an iPhone. It does all kinds of things that when I was a kid, I never would have thought a telephone would do.
True.
True. Like I've got a really cool Peterson strobe tuner built into a telephone. Like that's crazy. And it's a camera and it does all kinds of neat things. And so I think it seems logical that people would assume it seems logical for people to assume that technology would be added to a guitar. But when I pick up an acoustic guitar, I'm not looking for an iPhone experience.
Yeah.
Right?
Never.
Never. That doesn't seem to be what feels inspiring. When I pick up an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar, but especially with an acoustic guitar, I'm looking for something that's very direct, that feels almost like an extension of a human voice. And that's why I think that's one of the reasons that I love wooden guitars so much, is it feels like a connection to something that was much older than myself and connected to a tradition that's a lot older. There's like a piece of humanity that comes through that experience.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I think for me as a maker, it's easy for me to say that it's tied to the life expectancy of the instrument. So you look at a piece of high-tech hardware like an iPhone. The life expectancy for that device is a few years. The life expectancy for an acoustic guitar made of wood is measured in centuries. Those two things don't match. And so this guitar, man, it will play great songs for the next 100 years, 200 years when it's cared for well.
Probably sound better as it goes, as we
and it
mentioned.
gets better and better and better as it goes. The pickup system in there has a life expectancy that's measured in years, not centuries. Most high-tech hardware is measured in months to years. Those two, the time span of those things don't match. And so I don't really see that as having the right kind of fit for most acoustic guitars.
Sure, yeah.
So probably no lasers coming out of your guitar anytime soon. I might use a laser to help me build it. Yeah. You can cut a lot of cool, accurate parts with a laser. Do that all the time.
But the 51st, anniversary, no lasers. Everybody, no lasers.
No, it is an interesting thing to think about, though, right?
Yeah, it is.
Like as musicians, we're so surrounded with this influx of recording technology, of computer technology, of sound manipulation technology.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of really cool, useful, very high-tech things used to capture and create sounds. Except that side of the music-making process doesn't always match the humanity side of the music-making process. Like the directness, the communication, like the relationship between the musician and the instrument, or the relationship between musicians as they sit down and play and you hear those sounds mix in air. There's something special about that.
That's the X factor right there,
Yeah, that's what feels energizing as a builder and a player.
I bet. Like knowing that this will be greater than the sum of its parts once it's kind of out there in the world too. I'm sure that's a special thing.
It is.
Yeah, I bet that is. Thank you so much for coming in, Andy. This is such a joy to spend some time with you here. So, and guys, these instruments that you see over here, the 314s, the 217, and the GS Mini, those are all available on the zZounds site as well. But so check them out there. They are available for the 50th anniversary collection there. And once again, thanks for jamming.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
We'll take it nice and kind of slow. Combat that coffee feeling.